What up? What up? Back at it again. Real Fans Podcast here another week in the books. I'm your boy Gabe. That's Julian right there. Julian,
What
say what's
up?
up.
What up? What's up, people? What's up, people? How we doing? Another episode without Gabe. JoJo. Another episode.
Couldn't be here. Hopefully, we'll be here next week. We're almost coming up on MLB trade deadline, which is like August 2nd, which is in a couple days. So trade deadline's coming up. Lots of trade rumors. Juan Soto's name is out there. Willie Contreras' name is out there. But we'll talk about that next week. We'll see what actually happens in the MLB. When JoJo gets here. But in other news, more important news that never news that never stops happening because the NFL always makes news year round. That's all we care about. This is America, god damn it. We care about football. Let's talk about some of the biggest stories in the NFL. Let's start off with, I guess, the biggest contract that hasn't been decided yet, or one of the biggest names, former NFL MVP. Well, I guess not former. He's still the MVP of that year. Lamar Jackson's coming up.
Well, he would still be a former.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe not this year, but pre. Lamar Jackson's contract is coming up. He's owed about $23 million this year, so he'll be a unrestricted free agent next year. So, obviously going into the season, we haven't started yet. We're just starting minicamp. Obviously, you want to secure a talent like Lamar Jackson, but a lot of people, I don't know. It seems very polarizing in the media, the sports media. People are saying he's overrated, not worth the money. So, how do you feel, Julian, about the prospect of the Ravens going into this season with Lamar Jackson becoming a free agent next year? Do you think they should secure him up? You should lock down Lamar Jackson, or you just let him go? Let that butterfly.
I feel like you were targeting me because you know my stance on Lamar Jackson. My thing with Lamar Jackson is like, man, he's an amazing athlete. He's probably the most athletic quarterback in the league. He is just unbelievable with his feet. Probably the best we've seen since young Michael Vick, maybe even better. Because I would say he's bigger. I'm not I believe he might be bigger.
I think he's lanky, but he's still probably bigger than a little bit wider in the shoulders, maybe.
My one thing, man, with him is like he's just when it comes to throwing the ball, when it really comes, and we saw the Ravens try to experiment with this, I believe last year, where they tried to get him to throw more, and then once it wasn't really working out for them, but then they started running the ball with him a lot more like they did his MVP season. They started winning and becoming dominant again. And that's my biggest criticism with Lamar Jackson. If once he can figure out how to throw the ball at an elite level to compete with these other guys in the AFC, and that's what worries me is like you have guys like Patrick Mahomes, you have Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, so on and so forth. Keep on going. Russell Wilson. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to get to a point where you're going to have to sling it. You're going to get in a battle where you're going to have to just like throw the rock. And granted, he hasn't had the greatest receiving weapons outside of Mark Andrews. He hasn't had like an elite receiver, Pro Bowl receiver, a guy who can rely on and depend on. So that could play a factor as well. But I don't know if you go and making him the highest paid. Like, he is a great quarterback. He's a great talent. I don't know if do you pay him more than Aaron Rodgers annually? Like, you know what you're getting with Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVP, a Super Bowl champion, and you know he's one of the best throwers of the football in the history of the NFL. And I don't know if you could say that about Lamar Jackson, at least yet. I hope he becomes that because I think if he can master that ability of being able to run and throw like Michael Vick was able to, and have that arm strength and that accuracy like Michael Vick had at times. Well, Michael Vick always had a strong ass arm. He could always sling that thing like 70 yards. But I want to see more from. I don't know if I would trust having Lamar Jackson over Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. And it's like you want to pay him more than those guys. I don't know. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. I still think Lamar Jackson definitely has value, right? In the league, I think maybe he's not a top tier. He's not like super elite, like Hall of Fame right now. I think he's still pretty young. I think the questions about giving him a lengthy contract are valid because how long is this game going to last, right? He's a very physical runner, and how long is this game going to last? Looking at the stats, if you look over the past years, obviously he won the MVP in 2019. That was his best year: 36 touchdowns, 9 6 interceptions, 26-9 the next year, 16-13 last year. So 16 and it was probably his worst year statistically last year. And obviously he's going into this contract year where either you extend him, give him a bigger contract, or you say whatever. But I still think he's still top tier. Like if even at worst, he's top 20, top 15. You know what I mean? Like if you want to argue if he's going to be in that top 10, we can have arguments about statistically if he's improving. But I still think he has value. I think he's going to get paid. Like the quarterback position is so precious, and there's like so few guys who can start in this league. And this guy has an MVP like year. So we've seen, some of his best years. And honestly, that was early. That was like 2 years ago, going on 3 years now. I still think he's worth the money. Now, if you're going to give this guy 10-year, 8-year contract, I mean, I'll be like, okay, well, how about we just do like 4 or 5? Let's see. You know what I mean? Let's secure something for your team. Like, you know what I mean? So he's gonna get paid yesterday's price is not today's price. Obviously, we've seen people make money moves. You talked about Aaron Rodgers earlier. Aaron Rodgers made money moves this year. We'll talk about Kyler Murray, who made money moves. So I think he's gonna command big price. But like, what is your second option if you don't re-sign him? If you're the Ravens? What is your second option? Like,
I'm not saying don't re-sign him. Obviously, re-sign him. You're not going to get better than what's on the market or drafting. He's a quality quarterback. He's a quality player who can win you games, and that's no doubt. What I'm saying, my only thing was like, I don't know if you make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, which is what he might be asking for. I'm not entirely sure what he's asking for. Do you pay him top 5? I can see that. He's young. He's, everybody can still develop and become better. Like, you know what I mean? But like, I just don't know if like right now it's like how much you do. But yeah, you make sure you lock him up. I could see him getting his final year. Did they pick up a 5th-year option on him? Probably not, right? So, because he was a first round. Probably not, because they're probably hoping to, they probably were hoping to extend him. So, I think he's going to sign a contract before the season starts. My guess. I'm looking at maybe that $40 million a year. He might get something similar to Deshaun Watson, which I believe is like 42. That's what I'm projecting. But if it's higher than that, I mean, like, I'd be kind of surprised. Because I mean, he's won one playoff game, I believe. 2. I'm not sure.
Let me pull up the record.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, you lock them up 100%. I guess they're very confident they're going to get it done. I don't think Lamar Jackson wants to go anywhere anyways. The team's pretty competitive. They really just need more weapons from him. And that's what I'm saying too. Like, we'll see what he can do when he really has some more like weapons outside of his tight end. And hopefully he can continue to improve and continue to cause like I said, at the end of the day, man, you're going to have to sling that, especially in this conference. Like, you're going to have to. I mean, we saw that amazing Bills-Chiefs game. Like, that was incredible. If Lamar Jackson was in that same position, could he have done what Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes did? I don't know.
Now, just pull up some stats. His regular season rating, about an 87. In career, he's a 98.1. Last game he played was against Cleveland. They lost. But I just want to bring up, Baltimore has to stay competitive, right? Because you look at their depth chart, their backup is Tyler.
They got a good running game right now. They got a decent running game.
And Brett Hundley. So if you're not trying to secure up Lamar Jackson, like I said, what's your second option? You have, a guy who hasn't started yet, backup,
Bring back Joe Flacco.
What is your option? You have a better option of just letting him go? I think he's going to land a big contract. It's not going to happen. And it's weird because I think also too Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent. I think he's like negotiating on his own, which is like a rogue thing like nobody's ever done since like, I don't know, like the 50s or something. I don't know. That's pretty. People are just they're their own agent, so that's interesting. I think to throw in there. Also, you talk about having weapons. They lost Marquise Hollywood Brown. Didn't he go to Arizona? Where did Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, but he wasn't anything really special. He's a number 3 receiver on any other team.
But you want to talk about weapons, like either A, you're gonna run with Lamar Jackson, or B, you break it all down and try to rebuild again. Because right now, to me, the best team in that division right now is still the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't care if they're
Yeah,
one of the worst whole
and
teams to go to Super Bowl.
that's a
They're still one
prime
of the competitive.
example. That's a prime example.
What do
Like
you do
they're
to
gonna
compete against?
Cincinnati's gonna put up points. Like they're going to sling that rock with the weapons that they have. They have a young core, and you're gonna have to keep up with Joe Burrow. Like we'll see what Deshaun Watson if he plays whatnot with Cleveland. Um, but that's another place. It's like I'm not the biggest Deshaun Watson fan, but I do think he throws the ball better than Lamar Jackson. So,
Or yeah, if
I,
you're talking about quarterback talent, those two are the best, Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson. I haven't seen Deshaun Watson play like in a year and a half, but I still
yeah,
think
we'll see
Deshaun
if he
Watson
still
can do it.
got it. I would imagine he would. He's still super young.
That's just pure football. That's not even my personal opinion about him. But like, so what are the Ravens doing to compete? Like, what are they doing to stay relevant in that division? The Steelers, they're trying to rebuild now that Ben's gone.
Mm.
What are the Ravens doing to try
I
to
mean,
make?
they like I said, they got a strong defense. The running back room is pretty solid. Obviously, you have Mark Andrews at tight end. It's really just they need weapons, and they haven't really done anything. I mean, last year they signed Sammy Watkins, which I mean he's not even on the team anymore, so it shows you what they thought of him. So it's like, man, I, that's the biggest issue. So unless they just plan on just like running nonstop, which they have the ability to with Lamar Jackson and then J.K. Dobbins and drawing a blank on the other running back. Regardless,
I had the depth chart up, but and Gus Edwards is what they had. Mike Davis is a third backup, third string.
yeah. So I mean, like I said, if they can just they lean into that running game and play defense, they could take them a long way. We've seen that time and time again. That's a strategy, but with today's NFL getting more and more passing oriented, and then in the division that they are with the defending AFC champions, it's going to be tough, man. So yeah, they need to keep them. They need to keep them, but they need to give them some help on the offensive side of the
Yeah.
ball.
And speaking of other quarterbacks on the league, we're going to talk about another quarterback situation going on. Let's just go all the way to the West Coast, all the way to Oakland, San Francisco.
That
So
West
the
Coast
49ers
offense.
situation. Yeah. We had a quote from Shanahan, the head coach. He said, "We moved on from Trey. This is Trey's team. That's nothing against
Moved
Jimmy.
on
Made a
to
decision
Trey.
a year ago." Yeah. We're not going to mess around with that. Jimmy understands that fully. So this is something I guess I talked about last year as well. Garoppolo, I know you're a passionate Garoppolo fan. You love Garoppolo. You wish you
Yeah.
had Garoppolo on the Jackson over Trevor Lawrence. How do you feel about the 49ers saying officially, the head coach saying this is Trey Lance's team going forward? Do you think that's the right decision? What are your thoughts on the 49ers quarterback drama?
Anything's better than Jimmy. It was. I mean, what was he really providing? I mean, he was providing consistency, and he didn't turn over the ball, but he wasn't adding any element to where you're like, man, Jimmy won us that game. There's never a moment where I felt like, oh man, if it wasn't for Jimmy Garoppolo, they would have lost that game. I've never felt that way. So, and I personally think Trey Lance can do what Jimmy already did. The thing is, Trey Lance doesn't have to be better than Jimmy in his first year starting. If he does the same or play equally to what Jimmy Garoppolo did last season, that's enough. Obviously, that got him to the NFC Championship, and they almost won the game and went to the Super Bowl. They're a really solid team. They're really deep. They brought back Debo's coming back, so the team is still really solid. And I think you can with Trey Lance, you can't get any worse than what Jimmy was giving you. Even if he turns out to not be that great, just put him in the same position. And I trust Shanahan with his experience with quarterbacks and everybody. Obviously, if they're willing to move on from Jimmy, that means Trey has already been showing something. He's already been out. I haven't been following 49ers camp like that. But for the coach to come out and saying that they're moving forward with Trey, to me, obviously that speaks volumes. That means that he's been putting in the work. He's been looking better than Jimmy, which isn't really hard, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I just hope they don't put him in a position where they have to like fling it, but I don't think Shanahan will. I think they'll put him in a very friendly system, similar to what Garoppolo is. And then once he gets more confident, hopefully they start letting him sling that rock. And he adds that mobility factor that Jimmy Garoppolo just didn't have. Like his ability to run and like make guys miss and just take it to the house he's adding an extra element that he doesn't have. So like I said, they can only get better, I think. You knew what Jimmy was.
I mean, as far as my opinions on Jimmy, like I said, I think the 49ers hit Jimmy a lot. I've seen the max Jimmy. I've seen the best of what he can do, and it's just pretty blasé, pretty mediocre. At best, slightly above. Which is scary because I've heard rumors of maybe, with they've been talking for like maybe like a year and a half. They're talking about trading Garoppolo, and now it seems more imminent now that they've actually announced Trey Lance. It's like Jimmy Garoppolo is also at the end of his contract. He's owed $25 million this year, or $25 million this year. He'll be an unrestricted free agent, so more than likely they'll try to trade him to some other team that needs a quarterback. I heard rumors about Denver.
Are they held? I'm not sure if you know this, but are they held responsible for that contract even if they move him? Would they be?
Yeah. I guess we got to figure out because I don't know how the NFL money works, but right now he's on a contract for the 49ers, so they owe him money. But maybe they strike a deal with another team. They move some exemptions. They move some money around. I don't know how cash flows in the NFL.
Sometimes it's like you still have to take that cap hit, like depending on. I'm not sure what his contract structure.
I think more than likely, I think the team that owns the contract still owes. They still pay. So even on another roster, they still pay him. But like again, if he gets traded, which is like I said, rumors with him coming on his last year of his contract. We'll see how the money works. I think more than likely the team that owns the rights will have to pay the most of it, if not, like 70%, 80% or something. But yeah. Also, it's funny you brought up Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is also another guy who's on the end of his contract. He's 26. He's going into his fourth year this year. He's owed $900,000, so less than $1 million. And he'll be an unrestricted free agent last year. So that's another question because how are you setting up Trey Lance? Now that you've announced Trey Lance is going to be your quarterback, are you giving him the proper weapons? Like Deebo Samuel is an excellent player. I would love Deebo Samuel to have him on my team. Are you giving Trey Lance, if you're saying Trey Lance are going to be with you, you're our guy, here's the weapons that you need? Because I think 49ers, they're relatively should have a better year than they did last year. I think they're relatively on the up and up. I think people are expecting them to do well next season. I have to review. I have to go.
I mean, outside of Deebo, if they lose Deebo, like outside of that, everybody's coming back. I mean, the teams, they didn't really lose anybody major.
So that's another thing. So now you've announced a brand new quarterback. You have Garoppolo, his contract's ending. Deebo Samuel, his contract's ending. What are you doing to improve your team? And I think they should keep, if Deebo Samuel wants to extend, I think they should keep him. He should stay there. He's an exciting player, one of the best wide receivers in the game. He's a hard defender. He defends as well as offensively he plays.
He's blocking, yeah.
Yeah. As far as Trey Lance, I think this is a move I expected. I expected it a lot earlier. I thought last year he was going to get way more starts than what he did. I think they extended rope to Garoppolo, not more than they should have. They probably gave him the proper chance to play, and obviously this.
He didn't deserve to lose his job at the time. Yeah, he never.
I've seen the best of Garoppolo, and this was inevitable. I've seen the best of Garoppolo, and Garoppolo's meh. It's meh.
He's whatever. Yeah, I mean, if they can move on from Garoppolo, you free up that cap space, then you can maybe sign Deebo to a contract that he likes more. That could be a thought of why they're willing to move on from Garoppolo is maybe cap space. I don't know what their cap space is looking like, but I mean, obviously, if you're able to unload $24 million, there's some money for Deebo. Get him what he was looking for. So that could be a possibility too. I think he's staying. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think if he was, it would have been happening.
You think Garoppolo's staying? You think he's going to start?
No,
the game
Deebo.
Week
Deebo.
One. He will not start. I mean, Deebo. You talking about Deebo? Okay.
I'm talking about Deebo. I think Deebo's staying. I think they're going to figure it out. I think he would have already been gone. That's my thought. I think they're going to work something out. I don't imagine, and then also I don't think he sits out when the season starts. I think he's going to play the season. Obviously, he still wants a big contract. He's not making very much. This will be his first major payday, so he's going to want to take advantage of that. Um, but I also think Debo too is also looking for an opportunity to like really show his receiver skills, which he never really got the chance to really show it in San Francisco because obviously they ran him as a dual threat a lot in the backfield. Um, not super far deep balls, and I think he wants to be looked at as one of the best receivers in the league. And but maybe Trey Lance can provide that for him. We'll see. I mean, how good
Yeah.
he ends up being.
So yeah, I guess we talked about the 49ers enough. 49ers now. I've heard rumors of him going to other places, but let's talk about another quarterback because we can't get enough about the quarterbacks around here.
Quarterbacks.
Kyler Murray for a huge deal in Arizona. Julie, thoughts on his contract? The details that came out over the weekend about the details of his contracts. Just give us the news on Kyler Murray.
Man, all right. So Kyler Murray, he just signed. I have it right here. He signed a 5-year, $235 million contract, $160 million guaranteed. That puts him at $46.1 million average yearly salary. That makes him the second highest paid quarterback by annual salary in the league, just behind
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, who has about $50 million a year. So yeah, Gabe, what do you think? Was he worth it?
Um, I think he's definitely worth it. Like I'm a big fan of Kyler Murray. I think he kind of had a mid kind of year. I'm very high on Kyler Murray. I think he's like I said. I say it again. I said it once. I'll say it again. He's Russell Wilson 2.0. He definitely has a capability. He's very small, short stature, whatever, but I think he has a capability to still be effective. Um, I like this contract. They signed him through 2028, I believe. So this is a huge contract. This is giving you security in Arizona.
Come on, Gabe. Come on, Gabe.
And I like Kyler Murray. I like him.
Come
I
on,
told you I like
man.
the guy, man. So if he gets paid, like I'm not gonna hate on him. You know what I mean? Like why would I hate on Kyler
Come on,
Murray?
man.
I like the dude.
This man hasn't even made the
I think.
playoffs yet.
Listen, I
With
think
that
he has a
team
big
that he
arm. He
has, and he
can
never
show.
even made the
Dude, he can show
playoffs
up.
yet.
He's fun to watch. He's a guy I like to watch. He's fun to watch. He's good to root for. What is so bad about? Tell me what
Yeah,
do you hate about
you.
Kyler Murray?
So you're
What is it
telling
about
me
us?
you're going to pay him more than Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, um, Deshaun Watson? You're going to pay him more than those guys? The man hasn't even won a playoff
Listen,
game yet. He hasn't even been to the playoffs. They had a 10-0 start, and he didn't even make it. He had a 10-0 start, and then they missed the playoffs. How in the hell does that happen? Or 9-0, something
listen.
like that. With the best receiver in the league, he had tons of weapons. He had Zach Ertz coming in. He had Christian Kirk, who almost put up 1,000 yards. He had AJ Green on the tail end of his career, but he was able to provide something. He had oh my God, was it Edmonds? Was it the running back? I'm drawing a blank. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had so many weapons on that team. The defense was solid, and they can't make the playoffs. Like, I don't know, man. You don't pay this man the second most in the league, and this hasn't even gone to the playoffs yet with the team that he's had. They choked the playoffs twice, back-to-back years.
Listen, if you're trying to compete, right? Because what is the NFC West is what? Is that's the 49ers? That's LA. What let me see. I
Bro,
gotta
Jimmy
remember
G
NFC. I
got
gotta
in
scratch.
before them.
I mean, they were poised to, to do some damage, I guess. But Kyler Murray, you can say is excessive. Okay, that's one thing. But like I said, the quarterback position, I've said before, I'll say it again. The quarterback position, very precious. What's your second? What is their second option? What other
Look,
option do they have
I'm
besides
not, and
signing?
this is the same thing I was saying with Lamar Jackson. Obviously, you keep him. He's better than anything you else get out there in the market or probably draft. He is good. He is, I believe he's a Pro Bowler. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not paying this man more than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes won a damn Super Bowl. Like, and it's been to two. So I'm like, No, 3. My bad. No, wait. Why am I drawing a blank? No, 2. My bad. I forgot they lost. So I'm like, no, like I like what? Like I don't know. That's just it, the what?
So
At least Deshaun Watson's won a playoff game.
in the division, obviously they have very staunch competition. We're talking about the 49ers and the Rams. Obviously, Rams, previous champs, they spend the most money. LA has the most money to spend.
My
They
bad.
get the
They
best
made the
players.
playoffs real
Okay.
quick. My bad. They made the
Yeah.
playoffs, but they got absolutely smacked by the Rams. So he
So
hasn't won a playoff
that's
game.
what
Is what I meant to say.
you're competing against the Rams. So as far as teams in the NFC West, I would put them as at least second tier. Like they're competing, they're competitive. We'll see what the 49ers do. Like I said, we just talked about the 49ers. So we'll see what the 49ers do. I don't expect the 49ers to be as successful as Arizona. And again, they're competing against the LA Rams. So former champs. Excessive? Okay. You want to say you want to pay him more than Patrick Mahomes? Okay.
Gabe, they got
I'll
fifth
take that for them.
place, man. They made a wild card spot after doing 10-0.
You got to do something, man. You got to get your guy, man. You got to have some solid players. Guys going to be around for a long time, and you give him thing. But here's the biggest thing that we didn't even talk about, like his contract. The biggest news out of this weekend was saying that apparently in his contract language.
Also, my bad. I got it messed up again. They were 7-0, and then they went 10-2. But they ended the season 11-6. So I'm making mistakes here, but we all make mistakes.
Yeah, well, like I said, more relevant. I don't even know the last relevant Arizona team. When was the last Arizona when Kurt Warner was playing? When was Arizona
relevant? No, they were relevant during the Carson Palmer years. They were pretty solid. I think they made a couple playoffs with him. I'm not sure how many, but they were pretty solid. But that was pretty good. That was when Bruce Arians was over there.
It's been tough in Arizona, and the fact that you secure a pretty top tier quarterback, I'm good with it. Like I said, I like the guy. That's my bias. I do like him. I wish for him to succeed. I think he's a top level quarterback. I think Arizona did pretty good. Again, they're competing against LA, man. LA's got tons of money. They can spend whatever. They'll pay whatever penalty, whatever cap hit they get. They'll pay it because it's LA. They can get fucking whatever rights fees and pay whatever penalty hit because LA is going to spend money. So I'm not mad at it. I mean, you want to say it's excessive?
He's a very good quarterback. I just think to make him the second highest, and this man hasn't even won a playoff game and barely made the playoffs as it was, went on a super big downturn. Like, I don't know. Like, and then I feel like in big moments he doesn't show up. That's just me, though.
So we'll see.
Call me stupid.
Let's talk about
call me whatever.
Other things going on. I don't know if you see what's going on in Tampa with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Julio Jones, who was formerly of the Tennessee Titans, excuse me, I'm sorry, I just hit some shit. Julio Jones, formerly of the Tennessee Titans, signs with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Julian, I don't know how this makes you think about Tom Brady. Do you think like they're just getting a bunch of old guys? We'll get the old gang back together, a bunch of veterans. Does this improve Tampa Bay's chances? Does it still make them relevant? Are they still effective? Will Tom Brady be in another Super Bowl? That's all the questions I give to you, Julian. Julio Jones, what do you got?
I think he's trying to get a chip, man. He's just trying to do something. He's been hidden away in Atlanta outside of that 1 year where they made it to the Super Bowl, but then ended up losing terribly by one of the greatest comebacks in Super Bowl history, probably NFL history, honestly. He's just trying to get back to that spot. And you know what? If you can't beat him, join him. He joined Brady. Brady beat him that year. He's like, you know what? We'll see what we can do. Get one last payday. Go be in Florida. You know what I mean? He's going for it. Just another weapon they can throw out there. Maybe he kind of replaces Antonio Brown. Obviously, he's not the same receiver as Antonio Brown, but being able to be like a third of reliable veteran at the third wide receiver position behind Godwin and Evans. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I'm sure he wasn't that expensive either. I'm sure they were willing to get him. I'm sure he was willing to get a a cheaper contract just to get onto that team. Because I mean, you want to talk about a team that absolutely lost a trade big time was the Titans. Like, what a terrible. They got nothing out of that. I mean, he played how many games? Like 5, maybe. I don't even know. He missed over half the season. So, and then when he did play, he didn't really do much. So,
Yeah. So I'm fine with Julio Jones signing with his contract. Like, I don't think the expectations of him is going to be like anything huge. Like, nobody's going to expect like 1,000-yard season out of him. I still think he can be productive. He's been, especially the last couple of years. Last year, definitely in Tennessee. He suffered from injury. I've heard he had like terrible like knee surgery and a lower leg problem, which is obviously an issue. But I still think he's a big body. He's a big target. Um, I expect to see him, possibly more effective in goal line. You know, Gronk retired. I
we'll
think
see.
that Tampa also
He might
signed
come
Kyle.
back.
Gronk retired. They also signed Kyle Rudolph from the Vikings, formerly of the Vikings,
I don't know
to
how they
replace him.
have the
So,
money.
I mean, I think Julio Jones is going to be a big target. I don't expect him to have a huge product. Like, it's not a guy I'm drafting fucking in fantasy because I don't think he's going to be productive.
No, he's not what
going
he
to have
was.
his Atlanta. But he could still, as far as being effective, I think he can still contribute to the team. So I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's good for him to still be in the league, and he's on his last legs probably of his career. So Julio Jones to Tampa. We'll see. We'll see. I might be a
And
big, I'm not a big Tom Brady fan. B, I'm not gonna be a Tampa fan as a Miami Dolphin. So I think Julio Jones he'll be productive. It's not gonna be like huge numbers, but I'm not expecting much out. The main thing is I'm not expecting much out of Julio Jones. You know what I mean?
no, I mean he's not going to provide anything. He might get maybe a couple hundred yards in for the entire season. Like I mean like a couple TDs here and there. But yeah, I mean they do got size though. I'll tell you what, between him, Mike Evans, and Rudolph, like they got some size. Like I said, I don't know how Tampa is able to even afford like what they do. I guess everybody's just going there for the cheap. Everybody's they're signing them all to big signing bonuses, so they don't have to take that salary cap hit. But it's crazy. But they become the definite like retirement team. Like you go there, you go to Tampa to retire. All the former Pro Bowlers and all pro, they're all going there to retire, get one last chip. We'll see though. I wouldn't honestly. I know nobody's predicting this, but I wouldn't be surprised if the whole thing just blows up. Like it doesn't work out. I wouldn't be terribly surprised. I don't think it will. I think they're going to win the division because the division is terrible. I mean, you have God knows who playing quarterback in New Orleans. You got a quarterback competition between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and then Marcus Mariota in Atlanta. So it's like they're going to the playoffs. It's just a matter of how deep they make it is where I'm a little curious. But then again, the NFC is not like it's the AFC. It's not super strong like the AFC is. So they could make a divisional round. I don't know if they're obviously I think they're not taking down the Rams, but they almost did last year. But
Yeah.
I think the Rams just got better though.
All right. Other than media news, I don't know if we have any updates from the weekend. Julian, you put up the topic about the NFL jerseys. I don't know if you have it. If you have any pictures or anything,
I have it.
any website.
I love that we talked about it last episode, and literally after we got off the podcast last episode, more things came out. I love that the NFL is going down this approach, taking and learning from what they learned from baseball, what baseball's doing, basketball, soccer, with all the different uniforms, switching it up. I love the new jerseys and the alternate helmets. I think it's sick. If you could buy those helmets, they'll be sick too. Like, at the end of the day, they're all about money. You change up different things. You come out with cool shit people are going to buy. Obviously, we saw that here in Miami. I see more Vice jerseys than I do regular Heat jerseys nowadays. Like I very rarely see a regular Heat jersey nowadays. It's almost all Vice jerseys down here. And I'm sure it's like that all over. But I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. You take a look at some of them. So I think a total of 10 teams, I want to say, either came out with like throwback jerseys, alternate helmets, and whatnot. First, this is like somebody Yahoo Sports did a ranking. I don't agree with their rankings, but they did the throwback Patriots. The first time they're coming back with a throwback since I believe 2009, right here, 2009. And Tom Brady rocking while defeating the Titans 59-0 in the snow. Holy shit, that what a beatdown! But we got the throwback Patriots. Then obviously number 2 they ranked the white Bengal, which I think is absolutely fire. Like that shit's sick.
I like it. I generally like the Bengals uniform, and I like the white one.
Yeah, Cowboys bringing back the classic helmet for Thanksgiving, which they've done before as well. Man. Thanksgiving throwback from 2004 2000. So the last time they did was 10 years ago. The classic throwback Falcons Coca-Cola helmet, which they've done before too, but it looks like they're bringing it back. They haven't done this. It looks like it says since 2016. The Giants coming back with their 80s and 90s jerseys.
That dark, with the blue on the helmet is darker than the actual blue on the jersey. I mean, it's pretty classic Giants. Like,
hey man, I mean, it's the 80s and 90s. Things weren't super perfect, I guess. I don't know, but got the Giants on the helmet instead of the NY.
There was no technology to color match.
Yeah, they didn't have Photoshop. All right, this one, obviously, I despise the Texans as a Jag fan, but I'm not gonna lie, this battle red helmet's pretty badass. That thing's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, it's pretty like college shiny. So,
like Oregon.
I think it looks fine. It's their little shiny red.
I think it looks pretty sweet, and that's saying something coming from a Jet. That's pretty badass. I'm with it. I'm surprised they ranked it at 6. Number 7, they got the black Cardinals helmet. Pretty clean.
I don't know. For me, it's pretty. Just to have it's clean. It's going to look clean, especially the red, white, and black pops. So like a black helmet it's just like, oh, yeah, that's pretty normal. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not anything extra. It's not like, oh wow, they have a black helmet. It's like,
I mean, they've never done it before. Like, I mean, it's kind of goes different. I think when you see it on the players and you see it in game, it's going to look pretty different. How I think about it. I wonder why they never did this like in the first, like why alternate uniforms, home and away jerseys. They don't change the helmet. The helmet remains the same, but the jersey changes. You think they would change the helmets too? Nah, think about it.
And I think it's pretty easy because the helmet itself is a solid color. So all it is a sticker, right? That whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can put some.
So the sticker, they just put a sticker on it. So it's just a black helmet with a sticker on it. It's not like anything. It's not like a elaborate design, like kind of like the Bengals one. I would think the Bengals. I don't know this for sure, but I would think the Bengals one is like more actually printed on the helmet itself. But if you
I
just
would
get a black
imagine
helmet,
those are stickers too. But I don't know.
A lot of them are stickers. Sure.
I mean, I don't know why they never got more creative with the helmets. Obviously, we got the Panthers, which we already talked about last week. This one looks pretty interesting. The Saints looks pretty cool. They're really using a lot of I don't know what that symbol's called. I forgot the proper.
It reminds me. Well, it's the what's it called? I forget. It's
the French thing. Yeah, there's a name for it.
French. I want to say it's a P word, but I can't remember. But actual design, I like it. It looks they're going for it looks like a Gucci, like a purse, like a label.
Like a not Gucci. You're thinking of Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. All right, they're going for like a Louis Vuitton.
LVs, yeah.
I'm fine with it. Whatever. That's cool. Whatever. I don't know the actual retro reference. Obviously,
I don't think it's a retro. Not all of them are retro. Some of them are. Some of them are just different. So yeah, the black helmet. Cool that's another thing too. It's black. So.
Yeah, I mean black and white with another color always goes hard. So especially with that gold, this is gonna be a solid one.
We got the Eagles black helmet.
It's black, but it's almost as dark as the green one, though, right? Because their helmet's already kind of green, like very dark.
really dark
Yeah,
green. Yeah, I think it's pretty
but it's
cool. I
fine. Like
don't. I see.
whatever.
I like black though. I always thought black is sick. I don't know. It's just me. I think the Jets is pretty sweet. You got the black helmet with the Jets on it. It seems like everybody's doing black. I don't. I never really thought about how most helmets are white. Um, there's not very many black
Yeah.
helmets. Like when I think about it, like outside of like what the Steelers and the
And the only way I think of like Steelers and Atlanta. That's it. Who
yeah
else has black
Atlanta.
helmets like that? Jaguars, I
Uh,
guess, because they have a they
oh
have,
yeah,
where they have
I'm
you have that.
stupid. Yeah, yeah, I'm stupid. The Jags had
How do you
the.
feel about the half and half? Do you like that helmet? Do you like the
I've
half and half
always
gold,
I've
half
always
black
liked
one?
that. Yeah, I actually have it behind me. I've always liked that. I like the two tone. I hated that they got rid of it.
Yeah.
Some people hated it. Some people thought it was atrocious, and then there was two sides. People thought it was atrocious, and then other people liked it. I was on the ballpark. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was different. Then they went to the all black helmet. I was like, yeah, but I've always liked it. You got the Bears. I don't mind this one that much, honestly. The orange
I don't mind it.
and the
I
orange
don't mind
helmet,
it. It kind of flows with what the colors are.
orange jersey,
I'm cool
orange
with it.
helmet. I like that. That's keeping it simple. They just this one, and then the final one they put the Commanders. I don't understand the Commanders hate. Like, why are they getting so much hate for the uniforms? I
But
like it,
we
man.
talked
I don't.
about it on a previous episode. So go through the YouTube, go through the previous podcast. We talked about. I like the Commander's white jersey is fine. This black one, like I said, looks like a Steelers jersey, and it doesn't. The yellow
They
and
got those
red does not.
numbers on
It
the
just
side.
when I see yellow and black, I think Steelers. So
I will
if they're
say
trying to do black.
I like the flag they put on it, and I like the patch. I'm not all for the name. I still think Washington football team was just clean. I don't know. I just like that for an old school team. Like it fit them. Um, I don't know, man. I feel like it's getting more hate than it deserves. I like it. Um, people are trashing it. I I don't mind it. The mascot name is the only thing I'm like kind of whatever about. If they just would have kept football team, like I don't think you always need a mascot, man. Like just like keep it clean with the football team, man. That's just it fits them because they're such a classic, legendary like NFL squad, like one of the oldest in the league. So obviously your favorite quarterback Carson Wentz is repping it. So, but yeah, I mean
He's my favorite.
that's all of them. So that's 13 jerseys.
That's it for you to our YouTube people who are watching that. If you're listening on the podcast, this is like we just talked about general shit. But speaking of uniform watch, let's transition over to the NBA because also the NBA is also still making news. We're talking about uniforms, so I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the city edition, some of the retro. Some teams are going back to retro uniforms. Let's talk about the NBA. Some of their uniforms. I mean, it kind of easily transitions to what we are talking about earlier. So, Julian, what have you seen? Is there anything you like so far? I think one of the biggest news I saw was about the Pistons. They're going back to the old retro one.
Yeah,
one of the biggest ones. But is there a uniform that you like in general? As far as uniforms for the NBA teams.
All right, for our audio listeners, you're not gonna be able to. That would be the best thing, but for our guys on YouTube, maybe come back and check it out. If you listen to audio, check back later. We're gonna showcase some of the uniforms, and here they are. First one that's coming up was the Milwaukee Bucks. So Milwaukee Bucks, they're switching up their uniforms. Looks like they're adding like the antlers coming from the side of the jersey. That looks pretty sweet. You can only get up from what they had. I never really thought their jerseys were anything special, or it seemed like they always had like bleh, like jersey. So this is probably the coolest one they've ever had. These ones pretty cool. It says fear. It says fear the deer. That sounds a little stupid, but fear the deer. I never feared a deer, but okay.
I like that jersey. That I'm not a Bucks fan. Again, as a Miami Heat fan, not a fan of the Bucks. But the uniform that goes pretty hard. Like that you can you can get some Jordans to match that. It'll be pretty nice. Get some creamsicles.
Fear the deer, bro. Fear the deer. All right, next one is this one. I actually think is pretty damn clean. Is the San Antonio Spurs. They got that SAT X SA Tex like on the front star there, and then on the side they have like this like Mexican pattern down the side. I think it looks pretty sweet. This is Gabe's new hometown team, San Antonio Spurs. Have you been to a game yet?
I have never been to San Antonio. It's about an hour and a half away from Austin. Never been to San Antonio. In general, I
I thought it
do
was like an
like
hour.
the I like the touch, the mosaic kind of thing on the side. As far as the color itself, the like kind of brownish, sandy brownish color. I don't like the sandy
Well,
brownish color, but the
that's the
mosaic,
filter. Well, that's the filter on the
yeah,
thing. So don't take that too
that I
much to
mean, it's
effect. Here, look, it's just black.
and yeah, if it's straight up black, which San Antonio is like black and gray.
Yeah, like
It's
that's a
generally
good
the color, like
example of it
black and
right there. It's the same
yeah.
color
I mean,
scheme.
it, logo is fine. Like I said, I like the mosaic though.
Yeah, pretty sick. And then we, like you were saying,
Tech
we got the old school 90s Pistons, that teal,
Detroit,
pretty
yeah.
clean. I like it. Those are pretty sick.
I like it. I wish they would have updated like maybe the font on the numbers, but the Pistons logo is
Nah.
pretty. It just reminds me of a, when we faced the Pistons. When the Miami Heat faced the Pistons. It's pretty. It's pretty legit. I like the. If you're a Pistons fan, like you can't go wrong with
Yeah.
the teal and the white.
I'm a big throwback guy. I love throwback. I just loved how they make jerseys back then. I always loved throwbacks. You got the old school like little pistons from like in a car, like right at the end, and then obviously you got the
Yeah, the muffler.
classic horse. It's sick. I like it. The Cleveland Cavaliers. This one's boring. Care less. I don't care. Really boring.
Yeah, I like again. I'm a fan of white, so the white jersey I do like the Cavs with the thing, but the black and the red is like pretty mundane.
Yeah,
It
I
don't.
like.
It doesn't
Well, like I said, I'm not a big white jersey guy,
inspire.
but I like the whites theme. Like I like how it's like the ball going into the V. It looks like a hoop. Like I like that. Um, but yeah, pretty mid jersey. And then we got the Washington Wizards. It looks like they kind of like collab with the Nationals with their bloom color,
Yeah,
the cherry
this
blossom,
one I really do
or
like.
with the pink.
Yeah, the cherry blossom. So obviously, you go to if you ever been to DC, I don't know if you know, Japan donated cherry blossoms. Cherry blossoms are natural to Japan. They donated to DC as a favor, as a gesture of
I did
treaty
not
or
know
whatever
that.
niceness of Japan. So they definitely have, there's a cherry blossom season in DC, and I like the Wizards jersey. I like that pink. I like the color. It just reminds me. A, it's a flattering color. B, it reminds me of the Miami Heat. Their pink color. It's not as this one's a little wider pink, but I do like the color. I do like the pink of the Washington Wizards. I think it's a good flow. It's a good I think it's a nice jersey. It's one of the better ones of the new retro or newer jerseys. I don't know, Julian. What do you think
I,
of the Washington Wizards?
I don't mind it as much. I mean, I don't care for it as much. I think it's kind of whatever. I like honestly that national jersey is pretty sick. I like the. I would have liked if they maybe put like the actual cherry blossom on, like the Nationals did. Because
No,
it's
there
just
is. If you zoom in,
like there is.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you zoom in, the H, there's a cherry blossom, but uh, you know, uh, there's a cherry
Oh,
blossom
it looks like
underneath.
it's
If you zoom
down
in,
the side, maybe. Oh, right there in the eye. Okay, I see. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of whatever about it. I don't think it looks anything crazy. That's just me though.
I like pink.
Here's some more San Antonio jerseys. So they didn't just do that one. They got another one, which it's pretty much
Blah,
just a throwback, old school
blah.
San Antonio on it that from the '90s. So yeah, if Gabe's not a fan, I
Not,
fucking love that the Utah Jazz have brought back those purple mountain jerseys. Fucking sick. I love it. I love those jerseys. I hated the current logo that they have now in the current color scheme. I hate it. I love the purple, the old school purple. I think it stood out. It was way
the
cooler.
Carmelo, John Stockton.
Yeah, John
You
Stockton.
like that?
Even wait, did the Carlos Boozer era? They had.
Boozer, I think Boozer played in some purple. I think
I
Boozer
want to
played in
say
some
so.
purple.
Yeah, and and Darren Williams. I'm pretty sure they had the purple jerseys too back then. I think what they have now is fairly recent. I was never a fan of what they currently have. I think it looked dumb. And then I don't really care for these other three, these yellow. Like, I feel like the Jazz can't figure out what color they want to be. Do they want to be blue? Do they want to be purple? Do they want to be yellow? Do they
Are you yellow? Are you purple? Are you
just
blue?
rock the purple,
Which,
man? Like,
they came from New Orleans.
I like it.
So wait. Obviously, they're previously a New Orleans franchise, right? They came from New Orleans. New Orleans Jazz makes sense. Utah, when you think of Jazz,
the Jazz came from New Orleans?
Yeah, bro, you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Why do you think Utah Jazz? When you think of Jazz,
yeah,
what cities do you think of when you think of Utah? A bunch of
I never really thought about it. I mean,
I'm sure there are Mormons that listen to jazz, but do you think of Utah? Is that what? City of music.
Have you been to Utah?
I think if you think of music, what are the music cities? Nashville. I think of Atlanta. I think of New Orleans. I think of New York. Those are music cities. You don't think of Utah.
Look, you don't think have you been to Utah? Have you been to? I've been to Utah. Have you been to Utah?
I've never been. I have no plan.
I heard a lot.
Probably never. I would not going to. Probably.
No,
go ahead.
I'm actually going to be honest with you, Gabe. Utah is actually a very beautiful place. I've been there and I loved it. It's very beautiful. The landscape and the scenery is amazing.
I hear they have lakes. I hear they have mountains. All right, but okay, let's go back to the jerseys. Jazz, the purple one retro. I'm fine with it.
The other ones,
they're trying to bring in this yellow.
Terrible.
See, it reminds me too much of the Pacers because I think the Pacers.
Dude. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like a high school, like 1960s basketball team. That's what it reminds me of. Terrible job. They put in no effort. This is a sorry excuse for making it throwback. Terrible. Don't like it. Don't even put those out. What a waste of time.
I like white jerseys in general. Their white jersey is okay because it has a little symbol, but
this shit looks like the shit Jerry West used to play in when he was in University of West Virginia back in like fucking 60s. That's what this thing looks like. All right, let's stop dunking. But that's pretty much it. Just keep the purple jersey, nothing else. Change the logo back. Everybody go back to what it was.
Keep subscribing. If you're from Utah, I don't want to hate on everybody from Utah. Please.
I'm not hating on people from Utah. I'm hating on the Utah Jazz with their dumbass logo and color scheme and the shit that they were doing.
All right. Speaking of NBA, obviously the biggest news in the NBA is Kevin Durant. Where the hell is he going to go? Obviously, we're in free agency. Kevin Durant announced that he was going to he's open for trade. I think he announced the Miami Heat and the Suns is the teams they want to go to, being all this Kyrie drama going on. But it seems that the Celtics are among the teams that have emerged to engage with the Nets on a possible deal, says Adrian Wojnarowski. The Celtics are no closer to Durant than other teams' view, and Jason Tatum is off limits. So I don't know what you've heard about the Kevin Durant rumors that are going on with the Celtics, but how do you feel about Jason Tatum being off the limits, but everybody else is on the limits? So Jaylen Brown, maybe a Robert Williams, I would doubt it, but he's on the table. How do you feel about Kevin Durant possibly going to the Celtics? Does this improve the Celtics team? Does this improve the Nets team?
Damn, there's a hurricane out there. It's Texas tornado. That's what Gabe's in. Texas tornado. I mean, I'm not against it. Yeah, obviously Tatum's off limits. Because ideally you want Durant with Tatum. Obviously you want those two to bounce off each other and work together. Look, if you want Durant, man, you got to give up. You got to give up a lot. And obviously the Nets are playing hardball, and the Nets know that. The Nets don't want to end up like Houston did, where when they left, that team just went to utter shambles. Nets, if they're gonna move Durant, look, you got arguably one of the best players in the league right now. You want to be compensated fairly. You want to bring in guys and still be competitive. And if this deal goes through, where you take Jaylen Brown and a couple other pieces, the Nets could potentially make at least a play-in game, which, I've gone over about how dumb that is, but obviously you want players on that team. They want to get compensated fairly because you don't want to end up like one of those teams where you see it all the time where it's like once the stars request to be traded, then that team is like in shambles for God knows how. I mean, look, OKC still hasn't recovered so since Durant left. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get obviously you want to keep Tatum, but I'm not against getting rid of some guys. A couple of guys that would have been big contributors.
In general, like to me, it's kind of news because it seems like the Celtics are more inclined to have trade value with like the biggest thing is like Rudy Gobert was one of was Rudy Gobert got traded. The market has been set earlier, especially with Kevin Durant signing like 4 more years.
Gabe, just block your mic. Just go like this, man. Just go. There you go. You got it. There you go.
I talk about this trade with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant.
Why are you whispering?
I can't block it, man. It's windy. I'm sorry. It's 107 degrees. God damn it! If I got a wind breeze when it's 107 degrees in Texas,
Gabe, I want to see you fucking sweating, dude.
I'm not. I'm trying not to. Okay. I don't know if you see. I'm trying to stay liquidated over here. Okay. Let's get back to it. KD. The Boston Celtics. The fact that they're in talks doesn't make big news to me because guess what? Everybody's in talks. Orlando Magic's going to be in talk. All the sorriest teams you can think of. The San Antonio Kings.
Yeah, they got Paolo Blanchero.
The San Antonio Kings talks. Everybody's in talks to get fucking Kevin Durant because he's one of the best players, most elite players you can get right now. As far as like value that equal to trade, I believe Celtics have a high chance to get him. Do I think he's going to the Celtics? I don't think not. I do not think anything of it because that's not one of the teams that he said he wanted to be traded to. He only said, what is it, the Suns and the Miami Heat. I don't think he's going to get traded to the Celtics for the Nets to compete against the Celtics. I'm not going to trade to the Heat, but I think that the fact that they announced this news came out that, the Celtics are in talks with the Nets. I think that's the Nets trying to pressure the Heat to give up more things. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Makes
Julian,
sense to me.
like,
I don't know if the Heat have much to get rid of, though.
That's the thing.
Outside of what Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, like.
Yeah, when KD says, I don't want to play here. I want to play either in Phoenix or I'm playing Miami. KD has all the leverage, right? Because it's like, I only play in Phoenix or I play in Miami or nothing. I don't play at all. He has all the leverage, right? And the fact that this comes out, the Celtics are in talks. The Celtics, which obviously are direct competitor of the Miami Heat, direct competitors of the Brooklyn Nets. I think this is the Brooklyn Nets trying to leverage the Miami Heat to give up more, right? To give up more and say, hey, look, if you don't want to give us a deal, guess what? The Celtics, they're going to give us a deal. They're going to give us, you know what I mean? They're in talks. We're going to get Jaylen Brown or whoever the fuck else to play with KD. So I think this is more of a political play. They're just trying to put, hey, we have other names out there. There's other people, the fucking New Orleans Pelicans. They're also interested. They're willing to give us. You know what I mean? I think this is the Nets putting out names out there to get more leverage over the Miami Heat. Which
as a Nets fans, though, do you want to trade within the conference?
You don't. You shouldn't.
Yeah, why would you? Why would you trade to the Celtics? That's like your literal direct rival, and you want to trade to them? Like, I don't know. Who knows, man? Every week it's something different, man. He's Woj reporting on something different. Well, I'll see it when I believe. I don't know what's going to happen. It looks like everybody that's in the running has been Eastern Conference, but like I said, as a Nets fan, it's like, do you want them to get traded to the Eastern Conference? But I don't know. I mean, thing is, I don't see. I feel like the Celtics can have more to offer in a trade than the Heat do. I just don't like. Are you gonna? obviously you don't want to get rid of Jimmy Butler. You don't really want to get rid of Bam. I mean, the biggest trade bait that you have is Tyler Hero and maybe Duncan Robinson, and maybe you could throw an Oladipo in there. I wouldn't be upset with that, but I don't know if that's enough that the Nets would want.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, that was the latest news to come out. Obviously, I think he's probably the biggest domino to fall is Kevin Durant. Once Kevin Durant happens, I think you'll see lots more trading and signing. After that, I think teams are still optimistic about their chances to get.
And then they start going, all right, what's next in line? Donovan Mitchell, Bradley Beal.
Yeah, that's another one. And that's another thing too. If KD goes to another team, I think the Miami Heat will try to reach for Donovan Mitchell.
I think I'd say, I get you want to get Durant, but I'm all for the Donovan Mitchell trade. I think you wouldn't have to give up that much, and he's young, and I think he would partner well. I think you can get Donovan Mitchell if you give away Oladipo, Tyler Hero.
I would say Robinson
and Hero. Yeah, I say that too. You want to keep I'm kind of whatever about Oladipo, honestly. I mean, if you could keep him, that'd be great. But if you could trade him, I don't care either. But for sure, Robinson and Hero, you might be able to get, and maybe a pick, you might be able to get Donovan Mitchell, I think. And I'd be all for that. I'll do it in a heartbeat. And I'm okay with that than getting, because I think the Nets are just going to ask for too much. Like they should. But I don't think that he can.
Yeah. So let's end it. Let's close it out with MMA. Stuff going on in MMA. Obviously, this week is going to be July 30th. The big fight, obviously, is UFC 277. The biggest fight of the week is probably going to be the main fight, which is going to be Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. Julian, you're our resident expert in MMA. What do you think about this fight? I know you reviewed the fight earlier. What do you think about this fight it's a title fight, so it's pretty big.
Rematch. The rematch. This is probably going to be dare I say the biggest women's fight ever. I don't know. I mean, with the most eyeballs. Obviously, Pena pulled off an incredible upset. Knocking down Nunes's 12-fight win streak. Nunes was looking just absolutely unstoppable. Nobody even came close to her. They were throwing people on the street to fight her because they ran out of ladies to come and fight her. But then Juliana Pena, who has had a pretty solid career, obviously probably a great career. She's a champion. She knocked down probably one of the toughest women in the history of UFC. I remember watching her in the very first Women's Ultimate Fighter on Ronda Rousey versus Miesha Tate. I remember that's when I first heard of her because she was on that show, and I believe she won the whole show. If I don't remember, that was a very long time ago. Probably 8 years ago. But she's older now. She was young then and had a ton of experience. And I went back and rewatched the fight. Man, that second round was awesome. I mean, that second round was an absolute brawl. They're punching each other back and forth, just standing up. Pena had a swollen eye. Nunes had a bloody nose. They're just swinging, just going back and forth. And then finally, Nunes just hits her with one, caught lightning in a bottle, knocked her down. She was able to take her down, get her from behind, and rear naked choke her and win the fight in the second round right before the bell rang. So incredible way to win by submission. Pretty much a knockout, but she cleaned it up with the submission. It wasn't so she got her down by striking, but it was a great brawl. I don't see it. I'm curious to see how this fight plays out. Because right now Pena is the big underdog, even though she's a champ, because Nunes has just been so ridiculously dominant. And I think rightfully so, she should still be the favorite. Because some say that, Pena got lucky. But then again, like I said, it was a brawl. They were swinging back and forth. And when you start getting in a position like that, man, anything can happen. I mean, all it takes is that one just perfect hit that somebody to throw, and then they're on the ground, and that's what happened. Finished them up. So we'll see. I have Nunes winning this fight. I think she's just the better fighter. She just is. But I'm hoping to see another exciting fight. I don't think Pena's going to go down without a fight. It's going to be a striking match for sure. Once again, so yeah, awesome. I am super pumped for this fight. I think this is the most like anticipated Nunes fight I've had in a very long time because I was pretty excited about the Pena fight because I know what Pena was capable of, but I thought she was going to lose because Nunes is just that good. But like, I'm like, all right, this is like we're going to have an actual like competitive bantamweight match, so we'll see. Obviously, all the money's on Nunes, so I don't know. I'm gonna be a spectator. I'm not rooting for anyone because I'm a fan of both, but I do think Nunes is going to win this fight. Probably knock her out, honestly, because she was speeding up bad. Pena was last match.
Yeah, I'm a Nunes fan because I feel like she's been the most dominant. Like all the names that they try to hype up right in the UFC, as far as the women's title, women's titles, like go through the list: Shevchenko, Misha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Shevchenko again, Chris Cyborg, Holly Holm, Felicia Spencer, Megan Anderson. Like all these names that they try to bring up, like oh these are the next stars, these are the next like
Whaley,
Nunes. She
and no different division, but
so yeah, I mean, but saying like her record is not like immaculate. It's not like perfect or whatever, but she's still been pretty dominant since like fucking 2015 or whatever. So I'm a fan of her. I expect her to win, but this should be an exciting fight, right? Because this is a rematch fight. I definitely think this is going to go to a V3, regardless of the outcome. Because I think this is probably one of the more exciting fights in women's UFC that I've seen.
at least in
a while.
bantamweight, yeah. In bantamweight, yeah, because that Whaley fight was and Whaley and what's the other? Why am I drawing a blank? The Polish chick. That was a crazy fight.
Yeah.
That was one of the best women's fights I've ever seen. But when it comes to at least anticipation, yeah, like I agree with you. I'm super pumped for this. And this is all leading up to, mind you, the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Because they have the whole Ultimate Fighters based around this. They're the two coaches. So.
Yeah. So let's transition to the last thing. There was rumors out there that recently put out McGregor trying to get a rematch, with Floyd Mayweather. I don't know, Julian, if you saw this news, if you saw anything about it. How do you feel about a McGregor Mayweather 2.0 fight going on? Do you feel like it's something that you're actually interested in, or what's going on? Is it overhyped? Is it underhyped?
This actually makes sense. Okay, I didn't hear this until you just told me this, but I looked it up just now. Apparently, Dana White's coming out saying it's total bullshit. It's a rumor. He's like, stop asking me about it. It's not true. It's not happening. So Dana White pretty much just shut that down. And Dana White, we all know he's a pretty no nonsensical guy. Like he's like, pretty much what he says, it happens. If something's going to happen, it pretty much does. If he says something's not going to happen, it does it. So, and it kind of goes against what McGregor's trying to do because I feel like McGregor is trying to make a comeback in a way. I think McGregor's probably the most focused he's been on the UFC in a long time, trying to recover back from his injury, and I think he wants to. I think he wants to be a champion again in the UFC and be on top of that. I don't know if he'll ever make it again. He probably won't. But I think that's what he's aiming for. So the whole like Mayweather thing, I just don't see it. Even for the money aspect, McGregor's making so much damn money with his Scotch, or is this Scotch or Irish whiskey? One of the two. He's making so much damn proper 12, something like that. He's making so much money with that. I don't think he cares to fight Mayweather. I think he's more focused on the UFC if you consider what he's doing is focused. But
I mean, all right, you would say he's more focused on the UFC. Like what's his next challenge? Like him in the UFC, his last fight, obviously he faced Dustin Poirier. Excuse me, I said it wrong. Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier. And that was like a year ago, right? That's technically like literally like last July, right? It was like literally a year ago. Um,
Ah,
and you talking about him trying to make a title run like he's trying to do. I think he's washed, man. Like he lost against Khabib. As long as Khabib is still out there and Khabib's retired, uh, he, he's not the best fighter in the UFC. He's most exciting. Most. He has the most spectacle, the most swag, the most I guess hype around him. But like
look,
as far as like an official, legit fighter, why does this not make sense to you? Like, of course, if he can't fucking master and get a title shot in the UFC, why would he not fight fucking Floyd Mayweather?
I mean, like I'm looking it up now. McGregor's 34 years old. He's still kind of young enough to go for a run. We've seen older champions. So he's still in that window where he can make a run. He's not as old as you might think. I- Look, I'm one of those people. I'm gonna sound like a McGregor apologist. I'm not, but though that Poirier didn't go in there. I think people are clouded. Like Poirier didn't just like go in there and just absolutely dominate, like and like put on a clinic. And I feel like people want it to sound like seem like that, but in reality, not. Poirier got lucky that McGregor's leg snapped in half. Granted, yeah, he was losing in that first round, but it's one round. How many times have we seen people come back? The second fight, McGregor was just kind of caught off guard. But I never went in there. I'm like, oh man, Poirier is absolutely beating the absolute shit out of McGregor. Like it wasn't like he was putting on a crazy show. And I think McGregor can still fight at a top 5 level in his division. I think. We'll see. I would like to see him challenge. I think he's going to get a fight relatively soon, my guess. Maybe not top 5, but just out. I mean, we'll see. I think like I said, I still think he's got some gas in him. If he could just like fucking focus, you know what I mean? That's his problem, man. If he could just like focus and get that hunger, that championship hunger again, he could do because the talent's there. He could win it. And at the end of the day, look, he's the only person to win around on Khabib. In Khabib's historic run, he's the only one to make Khabib lose a round. And that's saying something. It's just like it's all the antics, all the not off the field, but I guess outside the octagon antics is what's been holding him back. And if he could just like fucking focus, like if he could just do that, which I felt like he was leading into that second fight with Poirier, except for his leg snapping, I think he can push for a top 5. I don't know if he'll get a title shot. Obviously, I think he has to go on a little bit of a win streak to do that. But I would like to see him get a top 10 opponent because Poirier was fighting for a title fight. Poirier was was
He was
ranked
fighting.
2.
He was fighting for pride. I think he's one of those guys that legit does not like fucking McGregor. Like, it's not like
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
it's not
Poirier
a
was a
put on.
top 3
Like,
fighter in the division.
yeah.
What I would like
So
to see, and I heard rumors about, I don't know if it'll happen, but I'd love to see a McGregor Tony Ferguson fight. That'd be great. That'd be pretty awesome to see.
I guess, man. I mean, you know more. You're more on the inside of it. To me, McGregor, this makes more sense. Him trying to fight Mayweather again, trying to do a money grab, makes
No,
more sense
yeah,
to me than
it's
him trying to
bullshit.
actually. I think him, obviously Dana White, if they do another boxing match, which is what it seems like they're trying to do, Dana White, he can comment on and be like, oh yeah, it's not gonna happen, whatever. I have McGregor on the contract. It's like he doesn't know what the fuck McGregor's gonna do. McGregor, I think his
Well, I
lifetime,
mean, they need
like it's
UFC.
just
It's
we're on
whatever.
the end of.
I
I
mean
feel
that
like.
that first fight. I mean that was a partnership between the money team and UFC. And if Dana's saying he's not doing it, he's like, I don't think they're doing it. And usually when Dana gets really passionate like that, it's probably not. And I just don't see it. I think it's bullshit. I mean,
You
I don't think
you think
McGregor. I don't even think.
there's more. You think McGregor has more juice to squeeze? He has more fights in him. They're going to be more exciting.
Yeah,
Than
I think he wants to fight in the
you think so?
UFC, and then I don't even know if like Mayweather even cares to do that. Like, I mean,
Oh, Mayweather, he bets a lot of money, so he's gonna need the money. He knows
he's
a lot
gonna
of
need. He's gonna need
a lot of horses. He's betting on. He's betting on a lot of horses.
a
So
lot of ponies.
and I think I don't think McGregor's still a competitor. He's still a spectacle. Yes, probably a money maker. He's great on the mic. He talks very well, but actual fighting,
Look, McGregor, I still think is a top 10 fighter in his division. I think. I don't see anybody outside of the top 10 beating him. And if he can put a string of wins together, like if he can face like a Tony Ferguson and like maybe he beats him, he just gets a shot at like I don't have to look at the rankings again, but like I think it could be interesting because right now the title holder is my mind is all over the place today. The Brazilian dude. Damn it. He just fought.
Is that a
Oliveira. So yeah, right now the rankings is I'm pulling up the rankings now. Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler. They have McGregor as 10 on the spot.
It's a bit too high for me. Bit too high.
They have Tony Ferguson as 11. So that's interesting. I would like to see McGregor Michael Chandler fight. That could be really interesting too, or even a Gaethje. But
I think he's pretty much done. But we'll see. Coming this weekend, like I said, 277 this weekend. UFC will bring you more news about that. That fight I'm never going to watch. It's a rematch fight. We'll bring you more news about NBA. Hopefully we'll have JoJo on next week. We'll talk about MLB. We'll talk about more NFL news because they always make news. All the sports, all the time. Real Fan Podcast. Julian, where can they find the podcast?
Find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. And MySpace? Are we on MySpace? Tumblr?
No, we don't have a
Tumblr?
MySpace. I know Justin Timberlake bought it, but we don't have that. We don't have that. But we appreciate y'all, especially y'all checking us on YouTube. We appreciate the downloads, all the comments, and subscriptions. We appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week with more Real Fans Podcast. We'll be right here. See y'all next week. Peace.